The ultimate study plan for CELPIP, a 30-day study plan. I have made a video on that. You can check it out. It is in the description on our other channel where I go over everything you need to do in the next few weeks with the right resources to fully prepare within 30 days, improvement guaranteed. You can check that out on our other channel. For today's video, we're going to talk about listening and we're going to talk about reading. I'm going to tell you something very, very valuable, okay? So if you want to skip this video, you can, okay? Just stay with me for the next 40 seconds. I'm going to give you the biggest lesson that you need, and these words I'm going to say to you, if you understand them, reading and listening will never be a problem. So let me begin. You should always focus on understanding the concept in CELPIP reading and CELPIP listening. The concept means not words, not phrases, but the idea. And you should try to understand that for every sentence. Every sentence that is written in reading or spoken in listening. Those sentences have a meaning behind them. And if you understand the concept, again, focus on this, okay? If you understand the concept, you will be able to explain that same sentence to another person in your own words. That is called the concept. Now, that's the most important part of this video. The next part, starting right now, I'm going to demonstrate exactly how to get this concept. And we have an example of reading in front of us, and then we're going to look at listening. And this is how you should read, and I'll tell you why this is important. So let's say I'm doing this passage in the exam, and it says, in an age where the invisible threads of connectivity have bound humans to their screens, a silent revolution is emerging in the realm of health and science. When this is the passage, this kind of difficulty, long sentence, I still haven't finished the sentence. There's more to go. What happens is we blank out, we get intimidated, we get nervous, and we have to read the sentence again because we are blanked out. And if this is happening to you, this is very normal. But let me make this easy. Let me just try to understand what this sentence is saying, get the concept, which would mean I should ignore some words and some words I should focus on. How do I decide that? Okay, so something like this in an age where this is just intro, doesn't matter, okay? Now, invisible threads of connectivity. So think about threads of connectivity. Basically, something is being connected. It's basically talking about a connection of something. That's the meaning of this phrase. I don't need threads. Threads is, it's not going to ask you what is connecting you. Threads or tools or, no. It's connection. Got you. Okay. So all you mean so far is that there's some sort of connection. Got it. Okay. Have bound humans to their screens. Okay, so there's something, there's some connection because of which humans are connected to their screens. In fact, this whole thing I can understand in the intro is trying to tell me that we are doing too much cell phone. Didn't say the word cell phone, but what I just did is give myself an example because what I'm doing is explaining this to myself. Remember, that is what I said at the start of the video. If you can explain this to someone else, to yourself, that means you have understood the concept. And now that has simplified in my brain. Let me continue. A silent revolution is emerging in the realm of health and science. So there's a revolution. Doesn't matter if it's silent or loud. It's a revolution. That's the idea. The questions are never going to ask you, is it silent or loud? Or like these small adjectives. For example, there was another one here I was reading earlier. Yeah, this one. Look at this one. This metamorphic innovation. So this adjective, they're not going to ask you, was it metamorphic? Was it small? Was it big? These things almost never are questions, but there might be something in very, very rare circumstances asking you, is the innovation a big deal or it's a small thing? And then the answer, if you see this, okay, it's metamorphic, so it's probably a big deal. But that is like 10% of the times that you'll even get something like this. Mostly, it'll be focused not on specific words, but on specific sentences. So your focus should be really there. And if you encounter something too specific, at that point you can come back to the passage and check it. But chances are you will never see something like that in the exam. So understand the sentences, not each word. So what my next phrase is telling me is there's a revolution in health and science. Fine. They could ask you in which field is the revolution coming. and they can paraphrase this too. Maybe they would say that it's in biology, okay, or it's so that would be irrelevant because it's health and science, or they would say maybe it's to do with studies of people, and people are they have health issues. So that would be maybe connected if you don't find any other better option. Okay, something like this, poised to redefine the parameters of mental health diagnosis through a prism of technology. How do I say this in simple words? So poised to redefine the parameters means it's going to change how we define things, how we think of things, and it's mainly focused on mental health diagnosis. So let me put this together. The mental health diagnosis is going to change. Like the way we think about it, it's going to change. Cool. Through some technology. Prism of technology is just an expression. It's not a real prism. So it's something about technology. Let me put it all together now. Let me try to also explain this to you, because that would mean I understood the concept. So in my simple words, what I'm going to tell you is we're glued to our screens that we have been really connected, but there's a small revolution in health and science which will change our mental health diagnosis, basically the way we do it, and maybe we're using some new technology for it. You know, maybe we're using a new gadget, or maybe we're using AI. And this is not said, but this is me just explaining it to you. So if I explain something to you, I'm going to use examples, but what that's indirectly doing to me is I am paraphrasing and deepening my understanding. So if something here is related to a new technology emerges to speed up diagnostic results. So I had that image in my head of, you have this new iPad that will give you mental diagnosis faster. I explained it to you that way. It put an image of that in my head, and now I can relate to anything that is paraphrased in the questions. So don't focus on every single word, prism of technology, realm of invisible threats of connectivity. Focus on the concept and don't get stuck with each word. You don't need to have too amazing of vocab to really understand everything, as long as you understand the concept. Vocab is always good, but don't make it the main focus, or don't be too fussy about it. And the same applies to listening. So let's play a little audio here, and again, do that same practice, get the concept, and be able to explain it to someone else. Let's play a few sentences, or maybe a sentence at a time, and we'll see how this goes.
As societies worldwide grapple with the escalating environmental crises.
So, what is the main idea? What is the main idea? Let me ask you. There's more and more environmental crises, right? As societies grapple, we're not going to ask you, are they grappling, wrestling, punching? No, it's just, okay, main idea here, there's environmental stuff going on. Got you.
Sustainability practices have emerged as key strategies for securing an ecologically balanced future.
Okay, here in these kinds of cases, you're listening and taking notes, right? So you can write down sustainability, sure, because you want to copy the words from the transcript. You don't want to paraphrase the words in your notes. Keep them exact. But in your head, some images should click. So sustainability would mean, like, I have maybe too many seeds of food, or some way of renewable energy, something that would continue for a long time without running out. So this is not said, right? They said sustainability, but in my head, I'm processing images, mental images, that'll help me relate to the topic, and that'll help me remember it better. It'll help me get more mental ideas, and then my written notes will just back that up.
These practices are multifaceted, encompassing a range of activities from...
Multifaceted means there's a range, basically, and then the range, she says that right after. So it's pretty much the same thing. Basically, she's saying there's lots of things happening in this realm. Sustainable practices, we're doing lots of things here. Cool. How simple is that? Instead of saying multifaceted, range of whatever, I'm saying we're doing a lot of stuff in sustainable practices. Make it easy for yourself to understand.
Renewable energy adoption to...
And then she even said renewable. So again, it just confirms your concepts.
Waste reduction initiatives, all aimed at minimizing the human ecological footprint.
So again, the way she is saying it, it's hard to understand. Look, she's saying if you have sustainable practices, it'll minimize the human ecological impact. Instead, if I explain it to you, I'm going to say, look, we produce so much waste. So we're trying to put some practices that counter that, like the garbage we create. And that would be long-term practices. So that would be long term means sustainable to me. And we produce lots of garbage and we have waste. That is to me the human ecological footprint. How much easier it is when I am explaining it to you. And that's the practice you want to do at home. Imagine you explaining this to someone else. Once you do that in your head, your explanation in your head becomes better. And then you start to understand everything. And you are understanding what? You're understanding the concept, as I said at the start of this video. Remember these key lessons from this video. Understand the concept and be able to explain it to someone else. Don't get hung up on a few words, few sentences, but get hung up and get high on the concepts. They're really important. And that's going to help you in comprehension and reading and listening, well, in the listening section. I hope this video helped out. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll talk soon. Take care.